So, Kim, welcome. And it's great to connect again and have a chat with you about some of the events we have coming up together. The first one I wanted to talk about today is the 6-part webinar series, all about the art of therapy and connection. This learning experience will allow us to have some time and space to see the processes of a master clinician and deepen our understanding of clinical reasoning. It will include video models where Kim will be working with an Australian family, and through these examples, she will weave in storytelling, theory, and clinical reasoning process to help us to reflect on ourselves in our practice. For those of you who have seen Kim before and know her work, you know what an incredible mind she has. Her breadth and depth of knowledge means that she brings a very unique lens to really understanding our role as clinicians and occupational performance. So I'll share with you some of Kim's experiences of her delivering this learning package to different parts of the world, and so you can understand a bit more about what this will offer. So can you explain a little bit about how the 6-part series fit together into a cohesive learning experience?
Sure. I mean, it begins with us, how we show up. And when I say that, it's really understanding your own therapeutic use of self. So the very beginning of the series looks at us, you, me as a clinical tool, and how to use that clinical tool in a virtual platform. And then we get to branch out into different directions of the kinds of ways that we support children with different developmental and neurodiverse issues, behavior, sensory processing, and there's going to be live demos they will be pre-recorded, but we will get to analyze them. And I will have no idea about these families. So you'll get to see it unfold in the way that it would as if I were showing up with this family online for the very first time. So our clinical reasoning is the focus of this series through modeling, through conversation, through questions.
Sounds very exciting. We're really looking forward to sharing that learning journey with you, Kim. Thank you very much for sharing all those exciting pieces of information. And how have you found connecting with families in this way using the online platform?
In some ways, it's not any different, really, because it begins with intention. When you come to the screen, the intention that you set to connect and be with people is no different than it is when you are with them in person. Of course, you're looking at people flat instead of 3-dimensionally, but your skills of attunement are the same. How you listen, how you wait, how you watch. It's the same in many respects.
Can you describe what's unique about this learning opportunity, Kim?
Well, this series that I want to say we have co-designed because the Australian version of this 6-part series is very different than perhaps the other experiences in different cultures because of the nature of the already existing levels of knowledge in the Australian community. So my experience of working and teaching in Australia is that there is already a very sophisticated level of understanding of all of the different pieces of the therapeutic process. So what I'm most excited about for this one is that the higher level entry point of putting the pieces together and being able to clinically reason with whoever is in front of you. How to draw from your knowledge as a therapist to decide what you see, feel, hear in the moment, and how am I going to support this family?
Mm.
And so it's a very integrated process that is so different than a standardized assessment. It's much more of a coaching model in many ways. And what families tell us is that it is making a vast difference in their lives because it's changing the way they are with their children every day.
Wow. So that's the feedback you've had so far from the families across the world.
It's been very surprising to me
Mm.
because as a clinician, I love treating. That's what I love to do. And I was myself pretty resistant to this idea. But my very first experience with virtual intervention was about 10, 15 years ago now, with a mom who had a little guy with cerebral palsy in Zimbabwe. And she wrote me a note on the computer and said, I see here on Google that you're a specialist in cerebral palsy. Can you help me? And I said to her, do you have a camera? She said, no, but there's a store 7 kilometers away that does. And I'll walk there and meet you in 4 hours from now.
Wow.
She carried her little 8-year-old boy on her back with spastic quadriplegia, met me in this grass hut, and we walked through, how is he going to sit? How are you going to help him learn to stand? How can he be mobile on the floor? It changed my life because my desire to be helpful in places where things do not exist became possible.
And it's
So
driven by a mother's desire
yes, yes,
to
yes.
have the capacity to help her own child.
That's what we want.
That's all we want.
So I'm hearing that many families are saying this hybrid of working is what they want going forward.
Mm.
That they want a combination of seeing us in real time and this capacity for intervention at home, to bring it home. So it's been very different than what I anticipated.
That sounds powerful. And that's where the magic happens. If a family can learn those skills and put that into place in their life, that's why we do our job, not to be doing to other people, but to empower them to do for themselves.
That's right.
That's really cool. What I'm really curious to hear about is how you've been experiencing this when you've been running it in other parts of the world. Could you share a little bit about that?
That is such a fantastic question. It is so fascinating to experience this platform of virtual communication and the delivery of the way that we work in the world in all these different countries with different cultural experiences and different rules. And so it's been part of it is learning the rules. And what I mean by that is in some countries, the teletherapy process is very regulated. And there are lots of restrictions around what platforms you can use, what types of, can I have direct interaction with clients or not? Do I have to be licensed? All of that has to be discovered first. And then you have languages. And some of our experiences in the different platforms and countries, I've had to work exclusively with an interpreter to
Mm.
translate in between. And then in some countries, where especially, for example, in Middle Eastern experience, where they are, their garb, they wear a hijab or can't always see the facial expressions. And that's very important in understanding all those different components when you're embarking on this journey in this way.